What should you do the moment the lights go out? That's the question we're tackling right now. Power outages can be sudden and unexpected, but the key to managing them effectively is to stay calm and composed. Panic can cloud your judgment and lead to unnecessary mistakes. So take a deep breath and remember that you've got this. Start by assessing the situation. Is it just your house, or is the entire neighborhood in the dark? A quick peek outside can often answer this question. If it's just your home, check your circuit breakers. A tripped switch could be the culprit. If it's more widespread, it's likely a power outage. Once you've assessed the situation, your priority should be ensuring safety. In the absence of electricity, visibility becomes a major challenge. To counter this, you'll need alternative light sources. Flashlights and battery-operated lanterns are your best friends in such scenarios. They're safe, reliable, and can provide light for an extended period. Candles can also be a good source of light, but they come with certain risks. Never leave a burning candle unattended and keep them away from flammable materials. Remember, safety should always be your top priority. Generators can be a lifesaver during power outages, providing power to essential appliances and systems. However, they need to be used with caution. Always operate generators outdoors and away from windows and doors to prevent harmful exhaust fumes from entering your home. Also, ensure they are properly grounded to avoid electrical accidents. It's also worth mentioning that you should unplug your electronics. Power can sometimes surge back, potentially damaging your devices. So, it's better to be safe than sorry. In the midst of all this, don't forget to notify your power company about the outage. Most companies have hotlines for this purpose. They can provide you with valuable information about the expected duration of the outage. Remember, the first step is always to ensure your immediate safety and assess the situation. With these immediate actions, you're well on your way to navigating a power outage like a pro. Stay tuned for more tips on how to manage and thrive during a power outage. Now, how do you find your way around in the dark? It may seem daunting, but it's a skill anyone can learn with a little practice and patience. Let's start with the basics. Physical maps and compasses. These may seem like relics of the past in our digital age, but they're indispensable tools when electronic navigation aids are unavailable. A good topographical map can give you a detailed view of the terrain, including roads, buildings, bodies of water, and natural landmarks. Meanwhile, a compass can help you determine your direction. To use a compass effectively, remember that the red end of the needle always points north. Aligning this with the north on your map can help you orient yourself and plot your course. Speaking of natural landmarks, these can be incredibly useful for navigation, especially in rural or wilderness areas. Landmarks can include distinctive features like mountains, rivers, or uniquely shaped trees. By familiarizing yourself with these features during daylight hours, you can use them to guide your way when darkness falls. But what about moving safely in low-light conditions? That's where your other senses come into play. Listen for the sounds of running water or traffic to help guide your direction. Feel the ground under your feet. Slopes can indicate hills or valleys, while changes in texture might signal a transition from grass to pavement or forest to field. Remember, it's also essential to move slowly and deliberately in the dark to avoid potential hazards. A good rule of thumb is to take it one step at a time, literally. Use a stick or pole to probe the ground in front of you, and always be aware of your surroundings. While navigating without power may seem challenging, it is not impossible. By leveraging tools like maps and compasses, recognizing natural landmarks, and using your senses, you can effectively find your way even in the darkest conditions. So don't let a power outage leave you feeling lost. Equip yourself with the knowledge and tools you need to navigate your environment. And remember, the key to successful navigation without power lies in preparation and practice. With a little practice, you can navigate effectively even without power. When the power goes out, how do you manage your resources? This is a question that could mean the difference between comfort and hardship, or even survival and danger. Let's take a look at food, water, and fuel. 3 critical resources you'll need to conserve during an extended power outage. For food, start by consuming perishable items first, those in your refrigerator, and then those in your freezer. A closed refrigerator can keep food cold for about 4 hours, and a full freezer can hold its temperature for around 48 hours. So remember to keep those doors closed as much as possible. What if you have more perishable food than you can consume before it spoils? Well, consider preservation methods like canning, drying, or even smoking, depending on the resources and skills you have on hand. Now let's talk about water. Your top priority should be drinking water, but don't forget about water for sanitation purposes. If you've prepared ahead of time, you should have plenty of bottled water. But if you run out, don't worry. You can collect rainwater, melt snow, or even use water from nearby streams or rivers. Remember, any water from an uncertain source should be boiled for at least 1 minute to kill any potentially harmful bacteria. Finally, let's tackle fuel. If you're relying on a generator, remember that it's not a long-term solution. Conserve fuel by using your generator sparingly, only for essential appliances or charging necessary devices. Also consider alternative heat sources like a wood-burning stove or fireplace if you have one. Managing your resources during a power outage is all about being efficient and smart. It's about making the most of what you have and knowing how to find or create what you need. When the lights go out, your resourcefulness is what will keep them metaphorically on. So, keep these tips in mind. Whether you're dealing with a temporary blackout or enduring a longer-term outage, proper resource management can make a big difference. Proper resource management can make a big difference during a power outage. If your usual communication devices are down, how do you stay in touch? That's a question many of us have asked ourselves during a power outage. The answer lies in alternative communication methods that don't rely on a steady power supply. First, let's talk about radios. A hand crank or battery-powered radio can be a lifeline during a power outage. It allows you to receive news, weather updates, and emergency broadcasts, even when your internet and television are down. Keep in mind that you'll want to conserve battery life, so use your radio sparingly, tuning in for essential updates. Next, we have walkie-talkies. These handy devices are perfect for communicating over short distances. They're especially useful if you have a group of people spread out across a neighborhood or a large property. Just make sure to establish a clear communication protocol and to maintain battery life. Another alternative communication method is through emergency alert systems. These systems are usually battery-powered or solar-powered, and they can send and receive messages to and from emergency services. Some systems even have built-in features like weather updates and SOS signals. Now, let's discuss the importance of staying connected with family, neighbors, and emergency services. In a crisis, information is your best ally. Knowing what's happening, where help is available, and how to reach it can make a significant difference. Regular check-ins with family and neighbors not only provide comfort, but also help ensure everyone's safety. And remember, emergency services are there to help. If you have access to a working phone, don't hesitate to dial your country's emergency number if you or someone else is in immediate danger. If phones are down, radios can often access emergency frequencies, and emergency alert systems can send distress signals. So the next time you find yourself in a power outage, don't panic. With radios, walkie-talkies, and emergency alert systems, you can stay connected and informed. Just remember to conserve battery life, establish clear communication protocols, and regularly check in with those around you. Remember, communication is key in any emergency situation. What if you run out of supplies during a power outage? It's a scary thought, isn't it? Yet it's a reality that many face during extended periods without power. Knowing how to find and use alternative resources can be a lifeline in such situations. Let's start with water, our most vital resource. If you've run out of stored water, you might need to look elsewhere. Rainwater can be a viable option, but remember it should be boiled or treated before consumption to kill any bacteria or parasites. Snow and dew are also options, but again, ensure they're properly treated. Now, what about food? Wild edibles can be a potential source of nutrition. We're talking about plants, berries, nuts, and seeds that are safe to eat. But be very careful, as many wild plants can be poisonous. It's crucial to have a good understanding of local flora or a reliable guidebook to identify what's edible and what's not. Emergency supplies are another important aspect. Pharmacies, grocery stores, and even vending machines can be sources of essential items during a power outage. But remember, in a prolonged crisis, these places can quickly run out of stock or become inaccessible. So think about other, less obvious places in your area where you might find necessary supplies such as construction sites, abandoned buildings, or farms. But what if you can't find what you need? This is where creativity comes into play. Look around your home. You'd be surprised at how many ordinary items can be repurposed for survival. A plastic bottle can become a water purifier, a can opener can be a makeshift knife, and duct tape can fix just about anything. In essence, the key to finding and using alternative resources is a combination of knowledge, observation, and ingenuity. Understanding your environment, recognizing potential resources, and thinking outside the box are paramount to your survival during a power outage. Sometimes creativity can be your best survival tool. So, keep your mind open, your senses sharp, and remember, you're more resourceful than you think. How can you prepare for future power outages? It's a question that rings in the minds of many, especially in our increasingly unpredictable world. The answer is preparation, forethought, and a few practical steps. An essential part of any power outage preparedness strategy is creating a power outage plan. This plan should outline what to do, where to go, and how to communicate during an outage. It's like a roadmap for navigating the unexpected. Consider factors such as medical needs, dietary requirements, and the needs of pets or elderly family members. Next, let's talk about building an emergency kit. This is not your average toolbox. An emergency kit should contain items that will sustain you through a power outage. Think of it as a survival backpack. It should include basic supplies like water, non-perishable food, flashlights, extra batteries, a first aid kit, and essential medications. It might also include items for comfort and morale like books, games, or a battery-operated radio. Remember to check and update this kit regularly to ensure that everything is in working order and that food and medications have not expired. Lastly, let's touch on establishing a communication strategy. In a world where we're so accustomed to instant communication via our electronic devices, a power outage can feel like being cut off from the world. It's crucial to have a plan in place for staying in touch with loved ones and receiving important updates. This might involve a battery-operated or hand-crank radio, a solar charger for your phone, or even a set of walkie-talkies. Remember, the key to managing a power outage effectively is anticipation and preparation. The more you plan, the better you'll be able to respond when the lights go out. With these tips, you can be ready for any power outage that comes your way. So, let's face it head on, knowing that we've done our best to prepare for the unexpected.